Welcome back, guys. So I've got a review of Fumoto. It is a oil drain plug valve. It's kind of hard to say. And it is made in Japan. So Japan quality goes hand in hand. I absolutely did a lot of research on this before I got it because I only have one vehicle, so I can't afford to have all my oil leak out going down a road trip and end up blowing up my motor. So with this said, I did some research on it. And just to give you just as research, a lot of people have it, not many issues. That's the gist of it. No, seriously, there's been a lot of people that have seen it, a lot of YouTube videos on it, and even looking at all the reviews, there's minimal issues. The biggest issue that you're most likely to have is going to be fitting it. You may need an adapter on it, but it depends on your application. But with that said, I got it tonight. Let's go do the unboxing on it. All right, guys, so here we have it, the Fumoto. I have the M12 1.75, that's for the threads. It is, again, the engine oil drain valve with a lever clip. I'll get more to that in just a second. Just to show you how to install it. As for the valve itself, what you're gonna do, I'm taking this off just so I don't bend it up, but that goes on there, of course. On your oil drain pan valve, only do this if you know what you're doing, of course, because you could really mess some things up. Trust me, I've seen it done. You'll take your drain plug out. It's pretty straightforward. Screw this in. They say, per the instructions, hand tight as you can get, and then get a crescent wrench because it's a square body. You don't do it anywhere else on this whole piece, but on the square body with a crescent wrench, or whatever you want to call that type of wrench. There's probably 20 different names. So then you'll get it on there and you'll torque it 1/8 of an extra turn from super hand tight. So basically as tight as you can possibly do with a hand, then 1/8 of a turn with that. How it works is this clip is an extra layer to keep it from coming off. But how it actually works is you have to push up on this, because if you see it, it is sitting in this channel. So right now it's closed, you cannot see through it. You'll pick that up and you'll move it, and it opens that ball valve. And then you drain your oil, which will take a little bit longer from what I understand, because that's a pretty small orifice. So once you get done draining your oil, you'll then just flip it back, and it falls down that notch again, and again, you cannot push it. So then when you get this clip, which has to be installed a certain way, because see how these edges are uneven? The biggest one goes on top. It's kind of hard to get on, unless you know what you're doing, of course. And that just is just an added layer to where it can't come up, because it's binding up against that top part of the clip and it's trying to spread this whole clip apart. So that's how that works. Nobody really explained it. I'm sure it's self-explanatory, but just in case, there you go. These are not, from what I've seen, they're not going to install looking beautifully straight up and down. They're usually like that, is how I'm usually seeing them. So with that said, that's enough talking about what it really is going to look like and what it's going to do and how it does. I'm going to go ahead and, whenever I go to change my oil, I'm going to go ahead and try to get some shot because it's nighttime. I live in an apartment, so I can't. We'll just stop there. But we'll try to get some shots of me putting it on, and we'll see how it goes. So I guess with that said, back when it's time for the oil change. All right, guys, so there's a hole. Put it in here. Okay, so I have it on there. I've gotten it semi-hand tight, and now I'm just gonna head out there. Tight as I can in my hand. Okay, as tight as I can get. I'm gonna go get a crescent wrench and I'll be back in a second. Alright guys, so an issue I ran into So I'll try to put the crescent up in there. I got a subframe right here, and I cannot fit anything in there. So what I have been doing is I just slip it on there like that. I'm trying to do it through a camera, but basically I slipped it on there kind of like that, and it went up and over the edge, something like that. That is the finished product. I'll show you guys. And again, I'm really sorry for the terrible camera work, but that is what it looks like when it's on. Let's do a function test on it. Again, I'm really sorry for the terrible audio that I know this video definitely is going to have. But to open it, open, and close. So, guess what that said? I'm going to wrap this video up in the apartment, get this cleaned up. Be back in a minute. Alright guys, so here's my drain plug. Got it put in, took it for a test drive, and no leaks. It's a good sign, I would have to say. With that said, I want to point out a couple things for the whole 2% of you that are probably still watching. The instructions state hand tight and then 1/8 of a turn, which is like that. That's not much torque. It is brass, keep that in mind. You cannot torque it like you're torquing steel. I believe there's a torque spec chart on it out there by the manufacturer, like 16 to 18 foot-pounds. Which, I don't know how you're going to get torque reading with a crescent wrench, but hey, if you can do it, great. Otherwise, have a professional do it. Just to play it safe. That way, if something happens, it's not going to fall. With that said, I did do hand tight and then about 1/4 of a turn, maybe even 1/3, but that was what I did. Everything's fine. I don't think I personally feel like 1/8 would be torqued enough, because I did it at 1/8 and it was like, I'm not comfortable with this. I've lost these beside the road from under torquing when I was much younger. I don't want to do that again. That was a very expensive mistake. So yes, I torqued it to where I thought was right, and I'm probably not ever going to regret it. But again, do what the manufacturer says to cover yourself. With that said, that's kind of my concerns on the product. Again, it's made in Japan, so can't go wrong there hardly. I got a lot of solid reviews on it, and frankly, I'm pretty excited about it. As always, I will be keeping an eye on it for any sort of leaks or anything. And if anything comes up, it's going to be in the description. So I will definitely put an update in there if there is, like I've done on some previous videos. But I guess with that said, that's going to be my review, final thoughts, and concerns on the Fumoto drain valve. So I guess with that said, I have a question for you, put in the comments. If you want to review, try, put in the comments. With that said, thank you guys very much for watching. Have a good night.